It was a nice day in the beginning of the month of June, and Brother and Sister Bear were notified by their school to go on a camping trip. But not just any camping trip, but to get to a campsite that will be under the world where they are. And to add on to this, Ellis, Zoe, and Ellie will be taking them camping as well, as it is required to get an award for survival skills at the school. The best part of the whole camping trip was that they were going to do a horseback riding to the campsite, which will be a lot of fun. Cousin Fred and Lizzie Bruin were also going to do the camping trip with brother and sister as well. When the Cubs got to Ellis and Zoe's farm in the underworld, Ellie handed their parents paperwork for them to sign so that they wouldn't get sued if they were to get hurt during the horseback riding trip. Ellis had closed up his auto shop and the barn was open as Coach and Rochelle would be looking after the horses. "We'll pick you Cubs up tomorrow. Good thing we are here so early," Papa Bear said, as Zoe looked at the Cubs while Rochelle was getting Zoe's horse ready. "I wonder who'll be riding for this camping trip?" Brother asked. "I don't know, but we'll have fun," Sister said to Brother. "Now that I have papers signed, I have signed y'all Cubs to your horses," Ellis replied. Then he turned to Brother Bear. "Brother Bear, you're going to ride Moana. Sister Bear, you're going to be riding Rapunzel. Freddie, you're going to be riding Buzz. And Lizzie, you're going to ride Ariel." As the Cubs cheered, the Dutch warm-blood mare was all tacked up and ready to go. It was Moana, and Brother got on his horse. Then Sister's horse was a half-cleaner mare named Rapunzel. After Sister was on her horse, Fred's horse was an Appaloosa named Buzz. Lizzie's horse was a quarter-horse mare named Ariel, so she was the last one to get on her horse. After the Cubs were on their horses, Ellie jumped on a forage pony named George. After Ellie got on, Ellis and Zoe both got on their horses, to which they were both quarter horses. Ellis was riding a gelding named Huxley, while Zoe was riding a mare named Thumbelina. Once Zoe, Ellis, and Ellie got ready and they started to lead the way, with Ellis up front, followed by Zoe who was behind him, and Ellie who was behind Zoe. Who was Zoe, with, of course, behind Ellie were the Cubs in order: Brother, Sister, Fred, and Lizzie. "Are you all doing good?" Ellie asked, checking to see how the Cubs were doing on their horseback as they were entering the forest. "Great, thanks for asking," Brother said. "All good here," Sister added. "Yep," Fred and Lizzie both said at the same time. "That's great that you're all doing great," Ellie replied, as they continued to walk on their horseback down the hill. After about 15 minutes walking on horseback, they climbed up a hill to which they had leaned forward for the horses to go up the hill. "I'm really glad the Bear Country School called us about you for coming with us on a camping trip. With us running the business of horse riding lessons and schooling shows and trail rides, a camping trip is what we all need after being cooped up at the house and barn for a while." Zoe began to talk. "This is going to be awesome for you Cubs to learn the survival skills while camping. The Cubs at your school could learn a thing or two from us as all humans," Ellis added. "We're at the top of the hill. We need to turn right and continue down the path. Then we have to go down the hill towards the lake. The campsite is by the lake," Ellie said, adding on to what Ellis is saying. As the horses kept on going on horseback, the Cubs kept going on horseback, they had to lean forward while going down the hill. It was a bit tiring, but they eventually got down the hill. They were getting close to the campsite. "I've never done camping while on horseback riding," Fred commented. "Us neither. I'm sure there's a first time for everything," Brother replied. "We'll use our survival skills we've learned from the zombie outbreak and put them to the test on this sleep out," Sister stated. "I'm glad there's no zombies around, or we'll be sleeping with one eye open," Lizzie said, agreeing with Sister. "Good leg yielding, Brother," Ellie said, seeing what Brother was doing on horseback called leg yielding. "Keep your back as straight as possible, Fred," Zoe said, turning around to check on Brother, and even Fred. "Nice moving with the horse's rhythm of the movement, Sister and Lizzie," Ellis said, commented as he saw Sister and Lizzie moving with the horse's movements. However, when they were coming close to the campsite, Lizzie's horse got spooked and tried to bolt, but Sister grabbed onto the reins to stop her friend's horse. However, the two horses started to have a bit of a fight, to which Ellis got off his horse and headed towards where Sister and Lizzie were. Ellis grabbed the reins of the horses, and he did his best to calm them down, to which the horses did almost instantly. "Ariel does get spooky sometimes, so I forgot to warn ya," Ellis said. "It's okay. Sister did try to help," Lizzie stated. "I know you did try to help, Sister, and Zoe and I appreciate it. But next time, let me or Zoe handle stuff like this," Ellis said to her. Sister did feel a little down, but Ellis didn't want her to feel bad. "It's just because horses are bigger animals, and it's best if grown-ups like me and Zoe and Ellie handle situations like this." After everyone got to the campsite, they tied the horses to the nearby trees near the two cabins where they were, and by the center where the campfire was. The cubs with Zoe, Ellie, and Ellis were by the campfire. They were all just getting settled in. Sister looked around and only saw a few cabins. "Which ones are we sleeping?" Sister asked. "You, Lizzie, and Ellie will be sleeping in cabin 1, Fred and brother will be sleeping in cabin 2, and Ellis and I have cabin 3, Zoe answered. "The cabins have numbers on them. We split them according to gender, like girls together and boys together, with the exception that me and Zoe share a cabin, because we're a couple and we share stuff," Ellis added. "Like hugging and kissing?" Brother asked. "Yep," Zoe replied. "They may do more than that." Ellie chuckled at this. "I've heard them because I live with them. I know what they do." "What do they do?" Fred asked. "You don't need to know. Someday you will," Zoe said as she changed the subject. "I'm glad Too Tall and his gang are not here to cause trouble. Ellis and I got them for trying to sneak a video camera into my property. They were trying to film me changing, but thankfully, Ellis caught them in the act." "I heard about that too. Too Tall and his gang sure got roasted." Brother smiled, knowing that Too Tall and his gang getting karma was funny. "We have a whole lake to swim in it. This is going to be awesome," Sister said, looking at the lake. "You can swim on horseback, but let's unpack and get settled first," Ellie said, as she, Ellis, and Zoe began to unpack the saddlebags on the horses they rode. As they were unpacking, Brother and Sister turned to see the outhouses were on the right side of where the campsite is. "There's 2 outhouses," Sister said. "The cabins are awesome. I like our cabin," Lizzie said, as she walked out of the cabin where she and Sister and Ellie would be sleeping in. After the cubs got settled in the campsite with Ellie, Ellis, and Zoe, they all got on their horses and went for a swim at the lake nearby. They were having such a great time that they wanted to do a horseback riding camping trip more often. After having to swim with the horses on the lake, Ellis and Zoe got started on making dinner for themselves and their friends. For dinner, they were all having hot dogs. While the grown-ups were making dinner, Ellie fed the horses while the cubs got in their pajamas and got ready for dinner. "Dinner's ready," Ellis called, as he got the buns and paper plates ready for dinner. "With hot dogs, there's some potato chips to go with it," Zoe said as she handed plain flavored chips to the cubs on paper plates. "Looks great, Ellis. Those hot dogs look great with some ketchup and mustard," Fred replied as he got his plate of dinner. "You sure are a great cook, Ellis," Lizzie said. "Same with you too, Zoe," Brother added as he handed his plate to Sister. "Horses are fed, Ellis and Zoe," Ellie said as she joined her friends. "We sure used our survival skills today. Excellent work, team," Zoe stated. "We sure are going to get the survival skills award at school," Sister replied. "That you sure will. You're more than welcome to come to our farm to do trail rides and stuff, and we'll be making the rides happen," Ellis said. "I think we'll start seeing you guys more often this summer when school's out," Brother replied. Once everyone was finished dinner, they toasted up some marshmallows to make s'mores with, to which they were really good. After roasting the marshmallows and making s'mores, the sun was gone and it was dark around the campsite with the fire going. "This camping trip is sure as fun, but tomorrow we do have to head back to the barn," Lizzie said. "I know you wished it was longer, but we do have to head back for Ellis to open up his garage, and I have barn chores to do with Ellie," Zoe explained. But we can go camping with our family anytime, Brother stated. Thanks for inviting us to camping, Ellis and Zoe. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for taking us, Sister thanked the two adults. No problem, Sister. It sure is awesome to have you four on this camping trip, Ellis said. When it was time for bed, the fire was put out, and everyone headed for their cabins for sleep for the night. For the next day, everyone had breakfast and packed up for their horse ride back to the barn. When the cubs arrived back at the barn with their horses, their parents were there to pick them up and take them home. When they arrived back at home, they went to the school the next day to get a reward for their survival skills. Everyone at Bear Country School was proud of the cubs, brother, sister, Lizzie, and Fred, for testing their survival skills while camping with Ellis, Zoe, and Ellie. They sure hope to do another camping trip like this again sometime. But for now, they want to focus on school until summer vacation starts.